Hello and welcome back.
Welcome back, Evolve Nation. Today we're talking about the second part of leading yourself.
Yes. Second part of leading yourself.
So in the Evolve Marriage model, as we call it, the foundation of it is really leading yourself. And it's these three branches. We talked about self-confidence, self-esteem last week. And today we're talking about responding instead of reacting. For me, I think this is like people who get this just like have a better life. So we're going to talk about what that is today and how we all know people who are just constantly reacting to life.
Yeah. And it's funny because when he first brought this up to me, he was like, I think this should really be an integral part of our, philosophy around marriage. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I very much was stuck on the idea of like communication, like respond in communication instead of react. So like, don't get mad, but that's not at all what we're talking about here.
Yeah, like plays sometimes into that.
Yeah, for sure. But I think what we really want to focus on, because this is under the leading yourself umbrella, is we really want to talk about how you respond to life versus react to life. So are you living life or is life living for you? Is that what is the
Yeah. Is life living you or are you living your life?
Yeah.
I mean, it's both,
exactly
isn't
what
it?
I wanted to.
Like, isn't it both?
No.
All right.
You should
cool.
live life. I have a question before we get started.
All right, cool. I had a really good question too.
No, I have a really fun
question.
question.
Go ahead.
What is something that I have done not in the very distant past that you found sexy?
Oh my God. Okay. Because we almost asked the same question. But
what
anyway.
did you say?
No, I'm not telling you.
No, you gotta ask. Okay, you asked me your question.
Oh my God. Okay. So what have you done in the recent past?
Me.
That I have thought was very sexy.
Yes.
Well, sometimes like the way you dress and the way you look and the energy you have.
Something I have done.
Yeah, I think. Well, and like dressing well is not one of them.
Yeah. No, that's not
something
an
you
action.
have done. And like keep it PG here.
Yeah, because children are listening.
Right. Maybe. Maybe somebody's listening to this on a bus. All right.
Oh God.
Wow, that's a good one. I mean, it's weird. Like some of the things I think that you do that are very sexy are not like people.
But that's why it's a good question.
Okay,
because
I guess.
You always have this idea of like, ooh, I have to strut my stuff and I have to wear like low cut shirts and dress a specific way for you to think I'm sexy. But sometimes maybe it's just like the way I scratch my nose. You're like, damn, when you scratch your nose like that.
All right. Well, I think it's sexy when you're like assertive and to the point and like just. Yeah, I don't take no shits. And it happened the other day where it's like you were on a phone call with somebody and, they were helping us out with something and it was like miscommunication happened. And it would have been easy for you to be like, okay, so we're going to cancel our plans and go out and do this thing. And have this, but instead you're like, yeah, well, like it's kind of what it is. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But, so you let me know what you want to do and we'll take it from there. Then you just like hung up the phone. And I was like, wow, that was pretty awesome. I was like,
that's so funny.
And so I remember in that moment thinking like, yeah,
go.
Like, and then that person just like,
Dan, you should come see me at work. I'm very assertive.
Oh man, I get nothing done all day.
Well, that's why I work in an elementary school.
So yeah, I think that was very sexy because then the person just kind of like responded and was just like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll deal with it, and then it was dealt with.
Man, I'm trying to remember what the call was. We're going to talk about this off air.
Okay. My question was different.
Okay.
You want me to ask mine?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm also curious about your answer to this one. But my question was, what's something that I do or that I have done recently that has really irritated you, but that you haven't told me about?
What is something that you did recently that irritated me? Oh, babe.
Oh no.
I'll be honest. Okay, I'll be honest.
Oh no, okay.
The kids and I at dinner, we laugh about the way you eat.
Okay. Like
it's irritating.
Okay, what does that mean?
You're a loud chewer.
Okay, right. I
like
thought you
your
meant
mouth is closed, but it sounds like your mouth.
Yes, well, I eat a lot of crunchy vegetables.
It's like your tongue moves a lot in your mouth. I don't know.
And you and the kids were like collaborating,
it's like
talking about
now.
me?
No, it's like a thing when you get up from the table, all like,
oh my gosh. Now I feel insecure.
Well, no, everyone's going to listen to you eat.
I appreciate you telling me. I appreciate you telling me that. And I'm going to be eating on my own from now on.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Just maybe, like, slow down
I'll
and
try.
don't
Yeah.
use your
Yeah.
tongue to chew.
For
Just the teeth are
having a server
necessary.
background, it was like just shovel food in your mouth and let's keep
Pretty
moving,
much, that's
and
what
I
it
get it.
is,
I do eat fast.
you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
I get it.
fat.
All right. Well, thanks for telling me.
It's not sexy. That's not what I find sexy lately.
No, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad. So let's jump right into it.
That's
Um,
not the answer you were expecting.
it wasn't,
Huh?
but I'm glad it was an honest answer.
It
I'm
was
glad
very
I wasn't really expecting any answer, but
okay.
I wasn't like, oh, I'm surprised you didn't say this. But
Mhm.
anyway, so I'm glad that you were honest. So I want to jump into the topic. Before I do that, if you are listening to this on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel. We put out 2 videos every week. And at any point, you can comment below because we actually check out the comments
The
on the YouTube
nice
videos.
ones.
Well, yeah, I check out all of them. But Kate, yeah, you block out all the bad ones.
No, I don't care for them. Go ahead, give me back on. I'm
And if
not gonna
if
read
you're
it.
listening to us on Spotify or Apple, give us a like, a rating, a review. We always appreciate you supporting the show, and we love to hear from you. So
Yeah, we love your questions. So if anything we say in this episode or past episodes pique your curiosity, you want to learn more about it, please let us know because we love to do listener question episodes. So
love it. Yeah, and you can comment or you can just reach out to us on social on Instagram. So we're talking about responding instead of reacting. So maybe we can explain, like, first of all, like what the difference is.
sure.
So people kind of get it. I think a lot of people kind of get it, but we can give like very concrete examples of it.
Yes.
Um, First of all, I want to talk about this whole idea of reacting to life because
Yes.
I think most people do this, right?
Yes. And sometimes unconsciously
Yes,
because it's something we do as like almost a protection mechanism
sure.
for a lot of us. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of us were raised to react to life,
Mhm.
to do things in a very sequential way. This is how life is done.
To not say no
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
things and people. And
To be a kind person means to
yeah.
react to life.
And I think especially now, like in the advance of cell phones and having computers in our pocket and all that stuff, the reality is that our attention is going everywhere all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are bleeding out our
Yeah.
attention on everyone. And I think about this a lot because, think about your own life. Like, listener, as you're listening, how much of your time uh, is just spent like slowing down and just like breathing and sitting in silence, right? Maybe some of you do that. But for the most part, from the moment we wake up, we're already on the back foot. We're already thinking about how we're behind. I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to do this. You're on your cell phone, you're checking your email, you're checking your messages. You go downstairs, your spouse and kids are already in your face,
Mhm.
and you essentially do that all the way until you close your eyes on your pillow at night. I was going to say go to bed, but actually people carry their phones with them in bed and are in bed scrolling, right? And so this is what I'm saying is a lot of us, we're just reacting to everything that's coming at us. Everything's urgent. Everything needs to be dealt with. That email that just got dropped in your inbox needs to be answered right now, right? And if you're living life this way, it's having a massive impact on your stress levels, on your feelings of anxiousness, on how people are engaging with you. And what I want to say is that this is kind of the funny thing, but like we all know these people in our lives. And if you don't know anybody in your life like this, you are probably that type of person. You know what I mean? But like Kate knows when I'm feeling like super stressed out, I'm just reacting to life. You can feel it in your partner. And
Yeah.
you know when I'm like chill, right? And I'm just responding and I'm feeling cool. It's a different energy. And we've also been around all those people who just seem to have like this calm presence to them all the time. Not in a way that's just like laissez-faire, I don't give a crap at anything, but in a way that's like, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
we'll be okay.
And I'm here and I'm truly here present in this moment. I find people who react to life often aren't really there. And, when you're in a room with somebody and they're busy scrolling on their phone or they're doing something else, or you're in conversation with them, but they seem kind of distracted, they're reacting. They're reacting to life. They probably didn't want to be there, had other things they needed to do, but instead of saying no, they were trying to please somebody by saying yes to being where they are. So I think that where this falls in relationship is when you respond, when you react to life, when you're in a relationship with somebody, it breaches safety in your relationship. The emotional safety part of a relationship is the foundation, the most important thing to get any of the other parts. um, working, you have to have emotional safety. And when you have a partner who reacts to life, who, when you tell them that you're unhappy about something, all their first thing to do is to have a knee jerk reaction. Well, how can I fix it? What can I do? I'll do anything. It's like, that's not as much as okay. I'll wave my magic wand and poof, now you're going to be magically the exact husband that I want you to be. It's not what we want. We
Hmm.
want people to respond to us, not react to us, to respond to our needs, not react to our feelings and our emotions that we're feeling in the moment. So I think that when you have somebody who can respond, who responds to their life in relationship, it creates this emotional safety. It creates this trust between you and your partner where you know that this person's coming from a very genuine place. This person knows themselves deeply, trusts themselves deeply, has confidence, has this deep sense of self esteem, and they are truly there because they want to be there.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things to take into consideration here is when we talk about personal growth, when we talk about, doing the work, whatever you want to call it, in this day and age, um, what we're really talking about is a person's ability to respond instead of react to life,
Mhm.
right? Everything that we're doing when it comes to, and there's like different modalities, right? You can do this, but if you think about like the reason we do shadow work is to make sure that we can respond with our whole integrated self instead of just reacting from these unknown parts of ourselves. The reason we do therapy is to create self awareness and understand our own wounds and traumas and belief system so that we can respond from a healthy, aligned place as opposed to just reacting from a, scared, anxious, kind of maladaptive place. Um, the reason that we do embodiment, right? So all these practices that we're talking about, and that personal growth tends to push is really designed to help us respond instead of react to everything, right? If you are constantly just in your head playing out every single possible scenario to try to keep yourself safe and keep yourself comfortable, well, you're not really integrating your body. You're not feeling into your body. You're not feeling your heart, your breath, your, these different parts of you. And therefore, you're not really present in the moment, right? And so if you're a partner who, as your partner is expressing themselves and talking about some of the grievances, all you're doing is waiting for your turn to talk so you can go against their grievance. That's an example of you reacting, right? You're waiting to react. As soon as they're done talking, you go in instead of slowly taking a breath, understanding what they're saying, running it through your own filters, and then deciding what to say, right? But a lot of us don't do this. And so, a big part of what we want to help you understand is that slowing things down and doing some of this work to create self-awareness, to integrate, your mind and body, to understand these shadow parts of you that keep showing up, right? These adaptations of maybe, shutting down or getting defensive or getting angry all the time or trying to control. These are all ways that you're reacting to life instead of choosing to respond in a way that helps you create more of the life you want. And so I think for us, this is a huge part. This is why it was so important to me, is because a lot of people are not even aware of this. And they think that living in a reactive way on autopilot is normal.
Yeah, and I think that we've also been conditioned to believe that in order to be a good wife, in order to be a good husband, we need to react to our spouse. If our spouse says, I want to have sex 3 times a week, well, to be a good wife, you should be having sex 3 times a week and finding ways to make that happen. And that is a reactive way of showing up in relationship. If your husband says jump and you're saying how high, well, are you truly doing things that are in line with the way you want to show up as a wife, the way you want to show up as a spouse? Are you doing things in line with how you want to show up in life in general?
Yeah, and can I just jump in? Because I actually think, sorry to like jump on your point, but I actually think like if we broke down that example,
Mhm.
I think it might be really helpful because I agree that like just saying, okay, fine, and just appeasing your partner in that moment when they're like, I want to have sex 3 times a week, you're like, okay, fine, we'll do that. That's a reaction.
Mhm.
And I also think it's a reaction to say, well, I'm not doing that, so you need to change, whatever.
Yes.
And so again, like understanding that, you know, if you were to slow that down, like let's say I came to you and I was like, I wasn't really good at communicating with you, but I just said like, again, a reaction instead of a response. But I was just like, it sucks. Like I miss you and we're never having sex anymore. Like we got to start having sex again.
Mhm.
Right. What would your response be to that?
My healthy version of me or my old version of me?
Okay. Okay. So how would you say you would react to that?
Right now today?
React. Yeah.
React? How I would react is I would probably react angrily.
Okay.
Like, "Oh, we just had sex last week. What would you didn't we just, like, have sex last week? Are you not satisfied? We just had sex."
Okay, great. Yeah. And that's probably like a very real response from a reactive place.
Mhm.
Right. So in order to do something different, you would probably just take a breath, right? First of all, slow things down and take a breath and connect to your body. And then in that moment, try to understand like what some of the deeper thoughts and feelings I'm having
Yeah, I would
that I'm having trouble expressing.
exactly, and I think that that comes from, deep knowing of your partner, and I think this is something we're definitely gonna touch base on, when we talk about conscious communication, but there's this very deep knowing your partner deeply and knowing, what they really mean when they're saying
Okay,
things.
so I want to play devil's advocate because I
Okay.
agree it could go that way.
Mhm.
But if a person doesn't have deep knowing of their partner,
No, that's what yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was
there's
like,
still a perfect opportunity to respond.
"Right, no, you're right."
So a healthy response might sound like, what would you respond if I said that?
I
Hey,
would ask a question.
right. So what would you ask?
I would say, "Well, what would having more sex look like for you? Or what would having more sex bring to you in this relationship?"
Hmm. Yeah. And I'd be like, well, I don't know. Like, I'm just unhappy. So we need to be having more sex.
And do you think that sex is the answer to that?
Yeah.
So you're saying that if we start having sex 3 times a week, 4 times a week, every single day, whether I want it or not, that you're gonna be happy and satisfied?
I was going to say, yeah, but I can see that you're kind of frustrated about this. Maybe you can help me understand.
Because I don't wanna have sex with you out of obligation, sir.
Exactly. So I love that you're playing this game with me. This is so great. You know, I wonder what it would look like if instead you said like, hey, it sounds like you're really missing our connection.
No, because I'm not I'm in a reactive state. I thought you told me to be in a reactive
You sound like you're in a
state.
reactive state right now.
I'm not understanding your game, Eric.
But so I guess what I really think is important is to understand like how easy it is for us to get into our story, our defensiveness,
Mhm.
our like, our partner comes to us and says, hey, I miss us and we're not having enough sex. And immediately it's like the first thing that's going to happen is
Well,
you're going to want to
why?
react to it.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. And so
No.
this is like the trick, right? Before you say anything, just stop and take a breath. And it could even say, even if you want to help yourself even more, you could say, hey, sorry, I didn't quite hear that. Can you say that again? Right? That could be easy as that. And then that gives you an opportunity to slow it down even more. And they might say, well, it's just like we don't have a lot of sex, haven't been having a lot of sex lately, and I've been pretty unhappy about that. Right? And then it's like, okay, it seems like sex is really important to you. And then you might wait, right? And they be like, yeah, it is. It is important to me. And you might be like, okay, uh, can you help me understand like what sex does for you? That's really important for me to know, right? Because your experience of sex means something to me. And now what you're doing is you're essentially moving to the core and inviting your partner into the core of what this is, which is let's collaborate. And because if I miss you as well, I miss you too, but having sex is not going to help us
Mhm.
if that's what you believe. Um, so then instead you're trying to understand their experience. And I think that is us responding from a place, but like you said, we have to kind of put down the narrative of like our ego stepping up and wanting to defend, prove our partner wrong. Because I say this to a lot of people I work with, like being right is a losing strategy in a
Yeah,
relationship.
and I think it's important to note also that just because you're asking these questions doesn't mean that in the end you're gonna get more sex. It
No.
just means that you might come to a place where you're understanding a little bit more, you're getting a deeper understanding of your partner and what it is that they're trying to get out of sex. So an answer to that might be like, well, it just makes me really feel confident and it makes me feel really good about myself. Well, are there other things you do in your life that make you feel confident, make you feel good about yourself? Yeah, when I go to the gym, I feel confident and good about myself. Great. So I'm not saying I don't want to have sex with you. I'm just saying maybe we can find more time for you to be able to go to the gym and, get that feeling. But also, you're like, I am okay, open to having more sex with you. What would that look like?
Yeah, but or here's what I would need
Yeah.
in order to make that happen,
Hmm.
right? I need you to stop chewing so loud at dinner, right? Like that'd be a great one.
I need you to slow the fuck down when you're eating.
But yeah, I do think that's important. I think what we really want to do is like step into collaboration, right? One of the big things here, why reacting is impacting not only your life, because we talked about like if you're reacting, you're probably way more stressed out, you're way more overwhelmed, you're probably either pissed off or sad all the time, right? Because you're just like reacting to everything being urgent all the time. So at least overwhelm. But in a relationship, in a context like that, you can imagine it's like I say this very reactive, triggering thing to you, which is like, hey, it sucks. We haven't had enough sex. Then you react to that by saying something to me. Then I react to that by saying something to you. Then you react to me. And now we're fighting. And 3 hours later, we're like, we hate each other. Why are we fighting? I'm sleeping on the couch. You're sleeping in bed. And the
Hmm.
next morning we woke up and it's like, what the hell were we talking about?
Yeah, and
Right.
I think when it comes to conversation and not reacting in conversation, we're definitely going to touch base more on that in the conscious communication part of our triangle. We're definitely going to have episodes on helping you navigate that type of conversation and helping us, understand how to get to deeply understand somebody who's maybe a little more surface level, who does say things like, I want to have sex more than 3 times a week. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, like, how can you get to deeply know somebody who's not very open to possibly having those deeper conversations with themselves to get to even know themselves better?
So maybe we can share what we do in order to get ourselves in a state where we can respond to life instead of react to life.
Yeah.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah, sure. So, um, maybe starting with like what I notice when I'm reacting to life is I'm saying yes to things a lot more often than I would like to. Oftentimes I get this like weird gut feeling, like I get this like icky feeling, like, ugh, I'm feeling frustrated all the time. I'm feeling angry all the time. I'm feeling a lot less joy, a lot less lightness in my life. And to me, that's the first sign of like, look, you're reacting, you're not doing things from a conscious place. You're just living for others and pleasing everybody and trying to appease everybody and trying to make everybody around you happy. Because that's my go-to is
Great
make
insight. Yeah.
people around me happy. And so when I have that like internal feeling, it's kind of like a red light. Like, okay, engine lights on, gotta do something about this. And so what I end up doing is usually I'll talk it out. Usually I'll have a conversation with you or with a friend, or even if nobody's available, I'll just kind of like journal about it or sit quietly and think about it, kind of like
And that's just like you
play it out in
talking or
my
thinking
head.
about your
Yeah.
experience.
Just
You're just
thinking
like,
about my experience. What's going on right now? Like, what's happening? And slowing it down usually gives me enough insight to be like, whew, I'm saying yes to too much right now, or I'm trying to please way too many people at this moment. And so my first thing is to start saying no.
mhm.
To respond to things, I need to say no to things instead of reacting. So I'll text the person that I just accepted to do something with, and I'll be like, listen, I'm like overcommitting here. I'm going to have to say no. Like, I'd love to hang out with you, but it's just there's too much going on. So I start cutting out the things that aren't as important, aren't as pressing, and aren't really in line with my values and my vision for my life. And then I get clear again on my values and vision of my life.
Mhm.
That's another important step for me is to why am I doing these things? Why am I, if I start feeling overwhelmed because there's too much going on, well, why am I doing it? Is this in line with the life I want to live? Is this in line with the woman I want to be, or the wife I want to be, or the mom I want to be? And by asking myself these questions, it forces me to slow down and it forces me to make a conscious decision when it comes to the choices I'm making in my life. And, that's, I think I touched base on it in the last episode, but just kind of like this shedding, this new shedding, like this finding this new skin that's exactly what's happening
Mhm.
is I'm finding that I've been saying yes to these things, not just lately, like saying yes to things that I've been okay with and putting up with my whole life. And I'm like kind of tired of it. And there's this like deep sense of like loneliness and exhaustion and like I'm
Resentment,
resentment,
bitterness.
bitterness,
Sure.
yeah, that I'm so over feeling. And so now my steps now is get very clear on what it is that I want as a woman in my life. Get very clear at as to what I want to be, the type of mom I want to be, the type of wife I want to be. Stop trying to be the type of wife Eric wants me to be. Stop trying to be the next mom that, social media tells me to be, like, or, all the books I read and like, stop comparing and like, who do you want to be, Kate?
Mhm.
And so by having those conversations, by having those thoughts, it reminds me of my vision. It reminds me of my values. And then it reminds me where to say no and where to slow down. And then I try to, you know, take it more slowly. And sometimes that means that I have to like stop and take a nap or stop and go for a walk, a quiet walk, or stop and just like watch an episode of TV that kind of like numbs out my brain and just shuts down my thoughts because I just need to like slow down because what happens in those moments, and I don't know if it's, I know a lot of women, they say that like it gets so loud in my head, like so many thoughts are happening at the same time. And I'm like, so I just need to like stop, kind of hit a snooze button, little refresh button, snooze, and then start over after that. Start over after I've regained that energy.
Oh,
So that's how I respond.
that sounds really powerful. That could be like an episode in and of itself. Yeah.
Yeah. What about
My
you?
answer's way simpler than that.
Yeah, well, you're you're also a man,
It's
so
well, there you go.
you're very
I don't
like
even know what that means,
it
but
means it means you have a river and you follow
oh,
it,
it
and
means
I'm
you're
a little more
stereotyping me
chaotic.
into. Oh no, I get it.
Mm,
Okay.
I'm not stereotyping you, I'm being for real.
For me, what often helps me move from react to respond mode. So first, some of the signs of like, hey, I'm reacting to life. I feel really out of control.
Mhm,
Feel pretty powerless to like navigate my life. I feel overwhelmed, resentful. A lot of the story is like what about me? Like how come I'm taking care of everybody else? Nobody's thinking of me.
mhm,
That's usually a sign like I'm reacting to life. And again, like my way to deal with stress is to overfunction. And so when I go down the overfunctioning rabbit hole,
mhm,
that's usually like I'm just doing it from a reactive state because I'm uncomfortable. Um, so for me, one of the best things that I do in order to, uh, reconnect to myself and move towards responding is really just stillness. Like for me, a lot of my ability to respond comes from my intuition. And so, like in the morning, just having like an hour where I'm not going to be on screens, or sitting outside in the morning with a coffee, just like in the sun, and not reading anything, right? Not reading, not listening to anything, just like being there in silence, maybe with the birds, and just like allowing things to exist within me. Um, Oftentimes it's like, having to get out of the house and go for a walk. And again, when I'm going for a walk, I'm not listening to a podcast. I'm not listening to music. I'm just walking and just experiencing the walk,
being
right?
quiet, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think for me, that really allows me to slow down. And then typically from that place, when I'm in stillness, I have found, and this sounds kind of really meta or spiritual or however you want to go about it, but it, it's like typically like answers come to me in those
Yeah, I
moments.
know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mhm,
And so oftentimes I get much more clarity in stillness. And so I realize like even, it's like I'm having a busy day. It's like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I have these 10,000 things to do. Typically what I'll do is like, okay, what I need to do right now is have 20 minutes of just sitting still.
mhm,
And then those 10,000 things become very manageable after that. It's like, okay, I know what I have to do right now. And
mhm.
and it's actually just 3 things I have to do. Right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
just the order to do them in. And,
yeah.
and so I think that has really helped me. And that's a practice that I bring into my coaching, that I bring into communication with you, that I bring into communication with the kids. Like I find that when I'm being reactive in relationship, things aren't going well. It's
Mhm.
it's me trying to regain control. It's me feeling powerless. It's me feeling, like nobody's taking care of me or caring about me. And so again, bringing myself back to stillness, to the present moment, understand that I'm okay. I'm good. Eric, you're good. People love you, you know? And then that brings me back into my good headspace so I can respond to life instead of reacting. And I think it makes a huge difference in how you experience life.
Mhm. And I can hear people saying, "Well, must be nice, I have, like 10 kids crawling all over me and I have a job. I can't do that." Like, no, you can. If
Hmm.
you set up your life to do it, you can. And there's some times where we're trying to find stillness, we're trying to find quiet, and we just have to be honest with the kids. And we've had that conversation with them to tell them like this is very important and this is why it's important. And we're modeling that for them
Hmm.
because hopefully they can learn and grow to do the same thing, that when they feel overwhelmed or they're feeling out of sorts or they're feeling like they're not in line with themselves, that they can stop and find themselves again in stillness. And it's having those conversations and saying like, mommy needs 10 minutes. And
Yeah.
then after, I will be all yours, but right now, I need 10 minutes to just not say anything. I wanna go for a walk with you. No, mommy needs to go for a walk by herself. And it's even talking to your spouse and having that conversation with them and not feeling guilty for needing to take some time to be alone. Like, I'm gonna need some time in the morning for the next, few days because I'm feeling very, very overwhelmed.
Yeah, and I think, like, what a beautiful way to wrap it up. One of the sentences that I encourage all of you guys to start thinking about if you're listening to this is instead of going into like I can't because land, like I can't because, think about instead I can if. And that's not only going to help you build some of your esteem, some of your confidence, but like it just puts the brain to work.
Mhm.
And so every time you say I can't because, flip it and say I can if,
Mhm.
and start working towards that.